that's the point of all this, is sharing the bumps and the bruises and the things that I think, even if they aren't right. I'm not here to tell anyone what's right or what's wrong. I'm here to tell people what I have done. Maybe you're putting together, oh, he's doing this. Well, guess what? It could change. Here we go again. We've talked about my process of how I do my quick records. Month in review is where I save things, and then I will then go back through that month in review and organize things. So what do I do with all that stuff once it's there now? So I don't qualify myself as I don't think I'm a bad player. I think I'm a pretty good player. But I don't really fit the same mold that other people that I know or talk to or see. I'm scrolling YouTube. I'm not the most technical player. I have to really, really try and work on being okay, right? I know it's self-deprecating, but artists, generally the ones that I've met who have egos, I don't know. It feels not right to say that on camera in front of people and let the world hear that, but it is kind of true. At least in my personal life, I can't say from watching people on a YouTube video that I would be able to tell any one way or the other. But from people that I know in my personal life, the ones who tend to think they're great and express that they're great often either ignore or don't see the flaws in themselves. Am I that person? I'm sure I fall into that category with somebody out there, and some people would call them a hater. Sure, maybe. Or maybe they're just seeing something that I don't see, and maybe I'm seeing stuff that other people don't see in themselves. Who knows? Why am I talking about this part? I don't know. Apparently it was rattling around in my head and I just wanted to get it out there. This is a very strange form of therapy. So there you go, guys. Some deep in thoughts there, I guess. I don't know if they're real. Don't listen to me. I don't know what I'm talking about. But I talk like I know what I'm talking about. I learned it in the Army. They pretty much teach you, speak as if you know the answer, even if you don't know the answer. And I think that's a good trait to have in a sense, because it makes stuff happen, right? Just because you don't know the answer, sitting around thinking of the perfect answer can waste a lot of time. And if you want to take it to its literal meaning, there is that if in a life or death situation, you're sitting around, well, what do I do here that's a perfect situation? Well, you're dead. You're already dead. Did I ever run into that? No. Not that it wasn't nothing. It was something. Not that it wasn't nothing. Not that it wasn't something. Double negatives. Fun. It was something. It was a job for sure. Not a job that I was really in love with. Most people that I knew really weren't in love with it, but it needed to be done. And I learned a lot from it. I became the person that I am because of it. It left its bumps and bruises and scars, but in its own weird way. But again, back to that idea is that even in those situations, there was need for make a decision and roll with it. And then as you're going, you adjust. And as you adjust, you can start to see, okay, where's the end goal? We are literally working through this exact thing where I'm working right now. I had an idea. I went with that because I was the only person doing it. That idea was a half-baked idea, but it was an idea. It got us 10, 20% there maybe. But we need to work on getting that rest of that 80%. Again, what am I talking about? I am trying to get to the point that I just start doing something and then I start figuring out what it is that I'm doing. If you've seen episodes 1, 2, 3, and 4, then maybe you're putting together, oh, he's doing this. Well, guess what? It could change at any moment. Who knows? But I am all that kind of related back to me starting to shit on people who thought they were best of themselves. So that's where the start of that was. But should I? I don't know, but I did. And that came to be. And I think I'm going to leave all of this in here just because I think that's the point of all this is sharing the bumps and the bruises and the things that I think, even if they aren't right. I'm not here to tell anyone what's right or what's wrong. I'm here to tell people what I have done. And aren't you sick of seeing people on any platform, anywhere, saying, this is what you should do? Because literally no one knows what you should do. I can tell you what I have done. They can tell you what they have done and what works for them. But that ain't going to work for everybody. So listen to the people that you want to listen to and that you trust listening to, and don't listen to the people who aren't in that group. And if you do listen to those people, it could be your demise, and it ain't going to be mine. So I don't know. All that to be said, I've known some people who thought some great things about themselves who were not that great. And then I feel personally that I'm mediocre at best most of the time, at least when it comes to music, but I'm consistent. So I'm here. I am putting in the hours and I love it. Like literally that's probably the most part is that I just, I don't always love it. Obviously there's times where I'm like overwhelmed and done with whatever it is I'm working on, but that can be anything, right? That could be anyone, anywhere. But, yeah, I think that I think that I'm good, but I'm not like this shredding monster, which to the average eyeball who watches things or listens to things, like that's like generally the mark of what people think is great. I don't really think it's all that great myself. Like if you can do it, then that's cool. Like it is cool. Like sweet picking and all that stuff. I can kind of do it, but it's not really my thing. What I am good at is building a scaffolding of interesting sounds and pulling those sounds into my emotions. It is my emotions. So if you listen to my stuff and you get something out of it, you're getting a connection to my emotions because that thing made me feel a certain way is why I stuck to it. So, yeah, that's kind of what I find to be interesting in it. Like I don't need it to be technical. I mean, literally going through month in review last episode, it doesn't have to be crazy. Like simple riffs are sometimes the most powerful riffs. Like I can't think of any well-known examples right now, but I'm sure they're there. Maybe that's what this week's Spotify playlist should be, is me just finding those simple riffs. So, okay, there we go. That's an idea. It doesn't have to be the perfect idea. I'm going to start there. What you get in the end might not be the same, but either way, you're going to get something. I'm going to do something. Stuff's going to happen, and we're going to just keep riffing. It's all you can do, really. So either way, I am very much a jack of all trades, right? Like I have to be able to do this. I play guitar, I play keyboard, I play bass, I play some drums, sort of. I might end up having a drum kit sooner than later because it seems like my kiddo is awfully interested in it. So I'm going to buy it just because I want it, but also I'm interested in providing any available thing that she's interested in doing. I want her to be able to do it. So I will have that, and I'll probably also play it myself. So who knows? We'll see where that goes. It could be a fun little experiment and learning thing. But either way, I'm a jack of all trades here in the studio. Obviously, I'm still learning video editing. You're dealing with lots of cuts and splices and whatever, but the idea is to get the message that I have trapped inside of this rambling jumble of stuff out. So, there's a lot of spaces and a lot of ums and a lot of whatever. But there's a message in there, I think, or at least there's ones that there's something I want to say and put out there. So that's what you're getting. But yeah, here I'm learning that. I'm still learning recording, mixing, mastering, that whole process. I think I'm pretty good at that part already. Not great. Again, I don't think I'm the best. I'm no Rick Rubin, but also Rick Rubin didn't know shit about producing when he started working in the hip hop world. Like he just kind of started doing it, and he had his own little ear, and whatever worked and what didn't. And I had written this down, not really even thinking about Rick Rubin in the moment, but it does relate. And I can't remember where I heard it from him specifically. It might have been on Joe Rogan's podcast or something. I don't remember. Maybe Lex Friedman's podcast. Either way, both of those great episodes to watch. He's a weirdly awesome dude, has crazy awesome stories, a wild life. But what I wrote on my notes was, the more I attempt to be technically perfect, the more it feels wrong. Using too much of my brain kills the source connection. So again, we'll reference this source. I'm down here. I'm just riffing on whatever I'm feeling in the moment. If I'm feeling nothing, I'm just trying to do technical work until something might happen. I'm connecting to this source. And out of the source comes ideas. This might be true for literally any art form, every art form. I don't know, maybe. Any idea, anything. In my opinion, it's tied to something like that, but I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about. Again, don't listen to me. I don't know what I'm talking about, but I'm talking about something. So if you're listening, good luck. If I'm connecting to this source and I get something out of it, it is a rough idea most of the time. I didn't play it 100%. But honestly, the more I try to make it 100% technically correct, the less it feels right. And I remember hearing Rick Rubin telling someone about that similar concept. I don't want to butcher whatever he tried to say because I honestly don't really remember. I just remember it was along those lines of there's a window of time where what you're working on is right. It doesn't matter if it's perfect or correct, it's right. And that is when you need to be done with it. If you keep messing with it and massaging it, it loses something. Maybe you played it technically perfect, but it has no soul. It has no feeling in there. And I do that to myself. I've done it for years because it wasn't good enough, but then I tried to make it good enough and it didn't feel right. So what do you do there? Well, what you do there is you make it not perfect. You let it have some humanity, which is imperfections. But a way to do that a little better in the way that I do things is I have this giant vault of ideas. I caught a thing in the moment, and I kind of hinted at this in my month in review. I caught that thing, and then I store it away, and it could sit there for a week, a month, a year, a decade. All of them are true. All of them have been a timeline that I have worked on it, right? If it's within a day or a week, oftentimes I can kind of get back into that same space pretty good, without like a lot of loss. But if it's been a year or a decade, A, I'm not the same person. B, I am not the same player. I'm hopefully way better, way more proficient, way more well-rounded. And the way I do it is I find something that I find interesting in my vault. And I have to relearn that thing. And I will try to be technically as close to that thing as I want to be, right? I grab the parts that I want and I try to get that technical part down and say, oh, this is how I did this to make this sound. That part, no qualms about that, about the technical part. That's just learning. But what I have to do is take that, learn it as well as I can, and then literally throw it out the window. Because I'm never going to recreate it the way that I did. That moment is gone. I lost it, right? But what you can do is kind of guide yourself into the next moment with that same idea. So that's what I do. I learn it the best I can, and then I throw everything out, and then we just kind of start again. And I have that piece of information fresh in my head, and I try to connect back into the source of that idea. And I just see it with, it's like two lenses, right? Or maybe even more than that, but two that I know of. There's the lens of now, and there's the lens of that old idea. I think anyone can connect to that same source item. And that's how people who are in no connection to each other can have the same idea at the same time and both come up with like electricity, but in different ways, right? Isn't that what happened? I don't know. I'm not like the best historian of any means, but I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Like there were multiple people working on electricity at the same time, had little to no interaction with each other, and they just did it in different ways. Well, they connected to that source and they saw it through the lens of their own personal experience in life. Did the idea come from them? Was it given to them? I don't know. But either way, they had to see it through their own personal life experience lens. And that's how I look at these riffs. I look at it as a gift that I got through some magic, and it comes through the lens of my personal experiences, my personal life, my technical proficiency, which is how much I am able to have practiced over the last 25 years, and how good the instrument can be played through my fingers. If my fingers suck, then you're only going to be able to get 10% of that, right? If my fingers are much better, then you can get closer to 100% of the raw idea. But it will never be 100% because it will never be the same between person A and person B, or time A and time B. Every time it's different. So that's how I do it. I have an idea, I save that idea, I relearn that idea, and then I try to plug that idea, or at least the essence, the feeling, that's probably the two best descriptions, the essence and the feeling of that idea. Not really even the technical aspects of it, but that whatever that is, I plug it back into the connection to the source, and see what comes out on the other side. And it's worked well for me, at least in that sense. There's some things that just come to me and they get like fully worked out in the moment, and whatever came out is basically what the final product is. On the Source album, I think the name of it was One Day You'll Know. It came out, I recorded at least the main pieces of it pretty quickly. So I never had to go back into that mode of like relearning something. I just wrote what came out. And the other one, Initiating Dream Sequence, that was something that I pieced together over years. It took years to get that one to be anything. And it's still, I don't know if I got it the way I wanted it. I like it. I still like it, but it's, I couldn't figure it out, but I think it fit. So I went with it. And again, I just went with my gut. Was it the right thing? I don't know, but it's what I did. So it's what exists now as the final product. But I relearn that stuff and then throw it all out, and then I start from scratch in that new place. I think that's kind of the way that you have to do it. That's what I do at work. I make something. I get this idea from point A to point Z, but, I miss a few steps in the way. I make like A, K, W, Z, right? And then you got to go fill in the blanks. And jumping from A to K as a one step isn't going to be the exact same thing when you go from A to B to C to D all the way to K. When you do it that way, you have to be willing to get the essence of the idea and then throw everything out and start over again. and not be afraid to do that. Like that's also like a thing back into the person that I am, or who I have always been, is that I've always been comfortable just taking stuff apart, trying to put it back together. And a lot of times I can't get it back together. It's junk. You know, you got to toss it. So I broke it. The good thing about coding is that you can have save points along the way, and you can just roll back to something that did work. So you don't have to throw everything away. But with like a toy, when I was a kid, how many toys I took apart and could not get back together. So it was just a pile of pieces. And I like to think that I got something out of that. If at minimum I got that I was not afraid to try, which I think is a great thing to get. So, you know, I got something that worked for me for sure. I like being a jack of all trades. What that means is that I'm not a master of any one thing. I can get pretty proficient in a few things, and it does take, it takes time to jump from one thing to another thing if they are not in the same lane. It takes time in that lane where I go back to something, because essentially my one track brain has one focus. Whatever I'm focusing on in the moment is what exists. So I can't multitask. I know people who at least say they can multitask, and maybe they can, but I cannot. I can barely even talk while I am doing anything else. I definitely can't talk and play guitar at the same time. So I don't know how I could even imagine singing and playing guitar at the same time. But whatever. I mean, that's just who I am. There are people out there who can do that. So maybe multitasking is possible. I just can't do it. I'm 100% focused on one thing in one moment. And for me to focus on anything else will take away from that. And I don't want to do anything at less than 100% of my own capability. And I don't really want to do anything less than that. But as a parent, sometimes you just got to do 50%, 100% of the time because it's consistent. There is no off switch, which is tough. And I was talking to a friend yesterday who will be getting there himself. It's not hard. The hard part is that it's just constant. But it's a good thing too. Like the constantness. I guess consistency is the right word, but it feels like something different. But is what also builds this little connection that is unparalleled to anything that I have experienced. Like I wouldn't say that I love my wife or my daughter more or less. They are very different though. They're just different things. And I think they're supposed to be. But it is something that I've never experienced prior to this. So, it comes with that as well. The fact that it is this little thing relying on you for a long time, literally can't do anything. And then already seeing it within 3 years, and I'm sure it just gets more and more from there, becomes this little self-reliant thing. I mean, just last week, she came downstairs. Normally she comes all the way downstairs, but this time she didn't. I heard her. I heard someone upstairs. I thought it was both of them. So I didn't think too much of it. I was here doing this, and I eventually go upstairs, and she had gone in the refrigerator, got herself breakfast. She had cheese sticks for breakfast, whatever. I mean, I'm not mad about it. And, she's just doing her own thing. So could she survive on her own? I don't think so. Not quite yet. But, there's signs of it. So, and it's cool to see. And you wouldn't see that if it wasn't this constant thing of like being with this little human. So, yeah. So, yeah, this one's a lot more of what's going on in my head, obviously. So, a little bit deeper, a little bit more personal. As always, I will have a Spotify playlist in the description. And if you found this interesting and you like it, then like it, share it. If you're not interested in it, that's fine. Because really, honestly, it's just virtual public therapy sessions, I guess. Hopefully, having a little bit more of this insight makes this a little bit more interesting. So, yeah. I think we're done. See ya.